It's like, hey, what should white people do for this Black History Month? God damn it, you put in the labor to go deal with the liberal color blindness and actually teach the liberal colorblind about how deploying their ideology is anti-Black. You feel me? As a matter of fact, for all of the well-meaning white people that's watching this video, I think that we should try to think about like Black.
Spontaneous percussion.
Start the live when I thought we was talking us on the live, and right now I'm just not moved. You feel me? Like we just
okay.
Yeah.
I feel you. Okay.
Damn.
So all right. So you know what? I'm gonna let you take the floor on this one, man. So okay. So today is the first day of Black History Month.
Yeah.
And so what should we be focusing on? What should we be talking about? I mean, I go on. I need to be educated by you on that one. Of like, if someone wants to honor that, should they be spending this month uplifting Black voices?
Yeah. I feel like this the month to make it where some people can get a racial fire lit up under their ass that can hopefully, you feel me, carry them through December. But really thinking about the more meaningful ways to be able to give access, resource, and accessibility to different Black people, Black businesses, and also thinking very, you feel me, purposely about Black history. I feel like I remember when I was in college, it was this question I think Stokely Carmichael was asked about, you feel me, like what, like a white person asked him, like, what should he do type stuff. And I think, you feel me, many different instances, like I see you as being a agent of change, and you have the ability to get to next to white people that I don't have the ability to. You see what I'm saying? So for me, it's like being able to think about like shit, and for this month, taking some of the energy of ruffling feathers of white conservatives and trying to catch some of them white people that are gonna be more leaning to actually think about you, like actually listen to what you're saying, and y'all can have a civil conversation about what you're getting into. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm being real. When at first I'm thinking like, okay, about getting this, I ain't thinking about it. When we talked about Tyree Nichols, and then I seen the goddamn American flag, I'm thinking like, hey, now is Walter didn't strike me as one of them liberals that's about fairness and about, you know what I'm saying, those type of things, this, that, and the other. So in my mind, you and I both able to have great criticisms against those particular liberal leaning individuals. And I believe you have the unique privilege and position of being able to speak to those individuals. So outside of celebrating Black history, outside of reading the Night Book, outside of supporting the
yell at white America.
Yeah,
so you're telling me
I didn't say white America, literally being like, hey, shit, when you go to, you know what I'm saying, sit with your uncle, with your auntie, with your cousin, with your mom and them, with your classmates, with your colleagues, being able to have these crucial conversations that they might not want to hear from me on. You see what I'm saying? And being able to think about how much that labor costs materially, physically, mentally, emotionally, specifically. And you're going to be able to see it, you feel me, when you doing that labor against somebody that you love. And now you negotiate like, God damn, this person raised me. I like what they was talking about. I like what they've done. But now we're trying to have a meaningful conversation about the humanity of Black people. And it's some pushback. You kind of sitting in with thinking like, damn, I can't believe this person doing that. But thinking about what other white people can do to other white people on the individual level. God damn, it's like for me, I just gave an analysis or a video about the white privilege of individualism. Shit, white people deployed that privilege of individualism to talk to other individual white people about what we talking about. You feel me? I do the work all the time. So it's like, shit, I didn't gave you. I got to all the white people on Walters, you know what I'm saying? Shit, it's like, listen, the consciously, I got literally thousands of videos throughout social media. What you can do is literally go to any platform with me on there, and I've already did the emotional labor and intellectual labor for you to damn near copy and paste. Yeah. But that's a great question, though, But yeah, now I'm a little live. I'm thinking like, yeah, I know for my audience, they want the information, and I'm knowing just shit like, hey, it's a lot of dryness of, hey, here go this video. this, that, and the other. And my audience is a little different from like a TYT audience or like a Brad Left. I'm saying audience. My audience want some real nitty gritty, raw, organic shit. You feel me? They don't care about Marjorie Green Taylor. You feel what I'm saying? We don't care about what them white folks are saying that. You know what I'm saying? The shit. You feel me? Like being like we don't care about that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm talking about too many white people, and I'm boring.
Yeah, bro. It's Black History Month. It's the first of the goddamn. You feel me, month. We talking to me. I don't care about them white folks. You feel? I'm being real. Like, I don't care about Marjorie Green Taylor.
I think this is the problem that I run into, and it's so that people that want to counter any movement for Black liberation, they've been very successful at framing it as not a Black movement for liberation, instead as a white movement from white inner city cosmopolitan liberals.
Yeah,
and that makes it makes conversation difficult, because I'm like, no, I'm getting these are things that I'm being told by Black voices about what needs to be done, what they would like. And so I didn't just invent this. I didn't just me and my white friends didn't go, you know what Black people need? Not getting killed during traffic stops.
Yeah.
And it's been, the word woke. It's subscribed to like the white liberal with the blue hair. And it's been like this great way to like discredit, anything with regards to like, Black voices and everything.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of concepts that come to mind. You know what I'm saying? When we giving these critiques for liberals, right? And I think that going back to the question that you asked me, I know that you're gonna have a lot closer proximity in terms of people and ideologies of people to like liberal colorblindness, the concept of liberal colorblindness. You feel me? It's like, hey, what should white people do for this Black History Month? God damn it, you put in the labor to go deal with the liberal colorblindness and actually teach the liberal colorblind about how deploying their ideology is anti-Black. You feel me? As a matter of fact, for all of the well-meaning white people that's watching this video, I think that we should try to think about like Black progression, centering Blackness and anti-Blackness, and putting like whiteness, white supremacy, and those type of understandings on the margins. This right here has a uniqueness where we are forefronting the humanity of Black people and thinking about like tangibly, materially, how to be able to do something about Black people, right? It's a concept right now that's floating around the internet on every platform, right? A lot of Black folks saying this concept, performative activism. We know a lot of people talk about it, performative activism. You feel me? And for me, it's like, all right, throughout the goddamn month or year, usually people are able to, pair different terms and words, and it's smooth to do it. This month, you feel me? You really should be doing it throughout the year, definitely. But this month now is a time for the rubber to meet the road. And a rubber to meet the road in a way that's able to effectuate material change that's outside of being like, hey, Black people, I see what you're going through, and giving the confessional. You know what I'm saying? This the work that, you feel me? Now it's time to do some work. You feel me? Now it's time to see throughout the year, white liberal, you didn't put BLM in your bio. You feel me? You didn't went to some rallies. You didn't voted Biden now. But now it's time for you to specifically put the rubber to the road, or it's time for us to see what type of fruits have you produced. And Black folks want to see it. We want to see it right now. And it's like, we want to see that shit right now. You see what I'm saying? It's like, hey, a lot of, how much have you produced in terms of fruit? How can I eat this fruit? Or did you give me some rotten fruit? Or is your shit withering and you just been, that's what I think.
Honestly, it's been like a disappointment these past few years because we're like accused of defunding everything, but like every major city like upped their budgets. Like they upped these budgets. Like they accused New York City of like defunding the police. Their budget's $12 billion. San Francisco.
Hey, as a matter of fact, because now you didn't put me on a little smooth now in a different way. It's like going back to the question. Hey, what can white people do in this month?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, my grandfather always said the pathway to hell is paved with good intentions. So when I say this, I'm not accusing nobody of being malicious or negative at all. But for this right here, it's like being able to think about the ways in which anti-blackness or white supremacy is outside of the left versus right paradigm. See what I'm saying? For me, the Black History Month can be a month for white people and non-black people to really think about what's structural about anti-blackness and how, whether we talking about a red state or a blue state or a city that's controlled by Democrats or a city controlled by Republicans, how niggas die there. Not only do niggas die there is a high representation of them being incarcerated, of us being incarcerated there, and there is a high likeliness of us not getting access, resources, and accessibility. You see what I'm saying? So thinking about outside of the left versus right, red versus blue, thinking about the common insatiable appetite for anti-black violence. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. So here's another.
I think that's really we can sit with. You feel me? I know a lot of times when it's like, to me, I feel like it's easy for white liberals or even white leftists to be like, yeah, them over there, them the bad ones over there. But for me now, in this conversation now, it's time to, hey, I know for me, I'm an ally of LGBT community. I'm an ally of women progression. There's times where I sit and think about the ways in which I'm implicated in the shit that I'm against. So I'm not being hypocritical. I'm not being, you feel me, on the high horse. I'm literally saying this is the way in which, to me, anti-oppression works. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I'm really thinking about, hey, all my well-meaning white folks, how are you implicated in systems of anti-blackness? How are you implicated in, you feel me, notions and practices of white supremacy? You know what I'm saying? Are you, in any instance, the white spectator at the lynching of the black body and you ain't doing and saying shit? You see what I'm saying? That's a lot of questions I think white leftists and white liberals can ask themselves, and thinking about the privilege of being able to say, you know what, I'm gonna say something this time. This time I ain't got nothing to say. You see what I'm saying? This time we're getting into something. This time I don't want to risk fucking up this relationship because I love that person over there. This month, if you ask them consciously, hey, sit with this rough shit. And too, I know I'm there's a purpose to the provocativeness where I'm purposely using the education of discomfort and recognizing that this discomfort is the only way I believe we're gonna be able to get to what we're trying to go to. So right now, I'm really centering this live, you feel me, how I'm sitting into this, literally around the question, hey, what could white people do? What should white people do for the month of February? Insofar, how can it spill over to March and April, May? You see what I'm saying? And it's like, shit, that's something we could think. That's what someone can sit on. You feel me?
Yeah. I have a, and it's funny. Like I was thinking about this the other day because I get a lot of people in my comments coming at me with this. Well, there were Irish slaves. There were the Scottish were oppressed. The Irish, and I thought about it. I was like, well, when the Irish got together in the name of liberation, they stood in solidarity with everyone else that was also oppressed. They didn't whine about it and make little and start sending Pepe memes and and defending Elon Musk. No, they stood in solidarity against apartheid. They stood in solidarity with Palestinians, just across the board. There was just this solidarity. It was they didn't. So I thought that was all right, that's actually a good model.
Yeah, they stood in solidarity, but they stood in solidarity specifically within their indentured servitude and or the way that they was prisoners of war. I think that, to me, it's important, especially in Black History Month, that we be very intentional with language and recognizing that a lot of times, even when white people in America talk about Irish people being slaves, that there's a lot of conflation in language. You see what I'm saying? And I know that we talking about, it's important though. It's important. You and I know if we talking about death, there's different varieties of it. We know that first degree murder is not the same as second degree murder. It's not the same as manslaughter. We know that the end result is death, but we know that there is a difference between these things. A lot of time, us, especially on the internet, conflate indentured servitude, prisoner of war slavery, debt slavery with chattel slavery. And it's like, hey, these are four.
You repeat what you just said. I like that. Repeat it.
Yeah, this is what we're saying right here. We can recognize the distinctions in variety or variety and severity of death. We know that first degree murder, second degree murder, third degree murder, manslaughter, the end result is all death. But we know that it's important not only in terms of the law, but in terms of intent. You feel me? And in terms of all that, how we recognize murder. Slavery is the same way. A lot of us conflate debt slavery with prisoner of war slavery, with indentured servitude, like those are, and with chattel slavery. Those are 4 different structural ways of how captivity works. I'm recognizing it. Is the end result captivity? No shit. No shit, Sherlock. You see what I'm saying? But we're recognizing that, hey, listen, if a prisoner of war or indentured servant has a child in captivity, their kids are not subject to captivity. See what I'm saying? If a white Irish person is in debt to goddamn the English, the entire world doesn't view your debt to the English as being a universal debt. The uniqueness of chattel slavery is the entire world viewed African descendants or people that was enslaved as slaves. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
When Highlanders is colonizing lowlanders in Scotland, the whole world don't view the lowlanders of Scotland through the eyes of the Highlanders of Scotland. The difference is in chattel slavery, everybody views black people through the eyes of the master, even if you can't own a slave. Everybody view black people as slaves as not having culture, not having language, not having land, regardless whether you had a slave or not. You see what I'm saying? Whether you want to talk about the goddamn Berber slavery or you want to talk about, hey, we can recognize in terms of a global analysis that every instance of those slavery is not the same as chattel slavery. You feel me? And just as we're able to recognize, hey, we see distinctions in war, the Gulf War versus the World War I versus World War II, those distinctions are important. It'll be done if I was like, nobody cares, Walter. It's all war. You're trying to, you want to recognize the different distinctions in terms of impact, in terms of people that are involved, in terms of implications. Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf War, the Vietnam War, those are different. Those are different types of wars. You see what I'm saying? Shit, the same thing come to slavery. And recognizing this too. Be able to see black people, especially in this month, think about us outside of just the context of captivity and thinking about what was before and thinking about the ways that we existed, not only before, but think about the ways that we were able to create what a lot of philosophers call social life within social death, the ways in which a lot of enslaved Africans were able to go create communities of maroonage, create communities of, you feel me, of the undercommons, be able to create, you feel me, literal social life and social death. You know what I'm saying? That's something to really think about. That's important.
Well, thank you, because so this is like when you're having conversations, when I'm having conversations with white America, these, I just gave you the talking points. You just refuted talking points. That's like that's like all I am dealing with. And it's like trying to explain that the transatlantic slave trade was like on a grander scale than anything that preceded it in history, because they'll bring up literally anything else. And it's just like, okay, and now I have to go through all of like and explain colonization and all of that and just like start from the beginning. And it's like, so that's like a, that's like a big, white people talking point that I'm just like, damn, okay. Cause I'm definitely thinking what you just said. I'm gonna like edit that up. I'm like, all right, here you go. I'm just gonna send people that video.
Man. Like, right, listen, I'm not explaining
right now. Shit.
To all the folks watching this right now, it's a friendly reminder. You can go to any link in my bio, or if you're on Facebook, you can literally go to any, like on my Facebook page and click the NAACP Image Award bio and vote for your boy, outstanding social media.
Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, and let's do that.
I can't comment in the chat, so I'm gonna text it to you right now. You're gonna be able to put it in the chat because it's a long story.
I got you.
I'm gonna send it to you, and you're gonna be able to put it in the chat. But what you made me think of though before I start talking about that is I'm gonna have a video dropping today or tomorrow about white pride and about if white people should be able to be proud about being white, right? This is a video, it came from Jubilee, they posted. Something that's important that you made me think about is the way that the white identity is structured in opposition to like non-white, or in many instances just black. You know what I mean? Or thinking about how, when we talk about power and domination, that like white pride is structured by power and domination at the expense of other people. So when we start asking questions about, you feel me, hey man, what about the white people that were enslaved, the Berbers, they were enslaved in North Africa? Doesn't this prove that white? It's like, no. How did that power and domination disseminate throughout the world? It didn't. But I'll end there rant.
Yeah. So here we go. What was I gonna say? So yeah, So it's my problem with being white is you have a lot of white people today. They're not. You have a lot of white people. They feel like they're without identity because white is sort of like this absence of identity. And my thing is, white was something that was like made up in the 15th century to justify colonialism. It's sort of this empty thing. If you're an African American, there's a shared history. Your history was destroyed. This was, there's a lot going on with that. Whereas like being white is just this sort of like a non-identity to me. Like, being Irish has an identity. Being Swedish, being French, being, from being from fucking New York is an identity. Literally anything is an identity, but being white. Like there's no, so it's like, you're dealing, so you have people being like, oh, like you just can't be white anymore. Like it's not, I'm like, yeah, but it's also like this made
It was
up
never
term.
that. Like, this. I think that it's a concept I like to talk my shit with. You feel me? Shout out to all the professional shit talkers out there. Also available on the website. I almost got my train of thought. What I was saying? Try to get too smooth for a minute. I forgot the point I was about to make. But yeah. Make sure y'all can click the link and vote. Definitely appreciate all your support. You're able to vote every 24 hours per email. Hit that. I had a good point too, but I forgot it. I lost it.
Okay.
I lost the point. No.
So the links in the comments to vote for consciously here. It's for NAACP award. I'm gonna throw that in the I'm gonna throw that link in the comments again. But yeah, no, I mean, like I'm not far off base. This was, like there's being white is like something that was made up in the 15th century by the Spanish. Doesn't exist.
Spanish,
and when you look at
never do this, yeah.
And when you look at like the people that pass for white in this world, it's like almost comical, like white passing. Like there's so many. There's like this huge spectrum of white passing, and it's like and it's just sort of this non-identity. I mean, I'm like Irish, I'm Swedish. I find identity, I find a narrative within being Irish. So I'm like, great, I'll run with that. You know what I mean? I'm like, cool, great, and I'm not like, it's not like you said, it's not at the expense of everyone else.
Yeah. And that's the point. That made me think about it. That's what I was about to say. When a person begs the question of you just can't be white anymore, I was gonna be a professional shit talker about the concept of racial illiteracy. I would define that term as the lack of ability to read and write situations pertaining to race. If you say people can't just be white no more, that shows me that you are racially illiterate and you are ignorant to the fact that power, domination, and a history of violence is always already tied to the white identity, because that's what the white identity is structured by. When I'm thinking about this, and from a global standpoint, the concept of the white man's burden is not one that's white American. The white man's burden is not a concept that comes from, you feel me, white America. It is a concept that comes from like Belgium, some Europeans. But I'm thinking about the way in which the white identity is structured in a way to make it where, I'm the savior. Yeah, I'm the great. I bring civilization. I just did a video about the racial history of hygiene. I bring cleanliness, and y'all dirty and filthy. So a lot of times when you think about people that can't be white no more, there was never a time when people could just be white. You feel me? I'm gonna be white at the expense of taking your land. I'm white to be able to say, hey, listen, you are I'm gonna make you from a savage to a man. I'm gonna cut your hair, I'm gonna put soap in your mouth, I'm gonna steal your kids. Like that was the way in which a lot of, but I keep on going on and on and on. It's like, hey, so when was the white identity not part of colorism? Can't just be white. Was your white out like, was that like, do you identify yourself as a colonizer in terms of that white? Because the way that white is structured in throughout the Western world is through colonialism and colonial violence.
Yeah. And so, okay, so another thing that I've been doing, it's my favorite game to play online. So since this next game I love to play online with racists It's whenever they use, so to be against CRT, you actually have to use critical race theory. So if you want to be a chud and go off in the comments and be against critical race theory, it actually involves you using, a part of critical race theory called intersectionality. Okay. So if I, because like the most common things that you're getting people saying is like, well, black people can be racist too, and you're like, well, that's kind of that's intersectionality. That's the oppressed can sometimes be the oppressor, right? Black men can do things to black women. A black person, can do this, to against an Asian person, and vice versa. There's when you examine intersectionality, you get into all of that. It gets complicated. It's not, it gets messy. But that's the study of intersectionality. Am I wrong?
I think that there is parts of study of intersectionality, but I would not deploy the framework of intersectionality when a white person says that black people can be racist too. I think that I would have a direct point specifically to that idea. That's what I think about. You know what I'm saying? Because in my mind, it's like we don't want to give legitimacy to empty claims. And a lot of times, even when we think about the intersectionality of, hey, there are black people incarcerated for murdering Asian people. We can acknowledge that. We can acknowledge that when the summer of Stop Asian Hate, we can acknowledge there are videos of black people beating the hell out of Asian people. We can acknowledge that. I think that when it comes to intersectionality and a white person says black people can be racist too, that you have to be very careful in the way that you're able to deploy that type of narrative. Because if I'm coming at it from the standpoint of saying black people racist too, you being able to tell me that, hey, listen, man, black people racist with Asian people, this supercharges black monstrosity. You see what I'm saying? And also to me, it's getting it away from the structural claim. To me, interpersonally, anybody can be fucked up to anybody on an interpersonal level, on the level of the individual. You see what I'm saying? But when it comes to the structure, because think about it. A lot of white conservatives would be like, hey, man, this black person killed this white people. Why y'all ain't mad at that? That black person finna take their ass to jail. We not finna have to march or protest for that black person to go to jail. As a matter of fact, they already was in jail by the time we heard about this shit. You know what I'm saying? So when you start thinking, and so to be clear, I have a master's degree in human relations. So it's very important to recognize how power and dominance is unique in the way that we're positioned. If you're talking to a white supremacist or a person that's already lost in the sauce of anti-blackness, any narrative you give me is going to supercharge my confirmation bias. I already believe that black people are inherently violent and criminal. That justifies me wanting to lock them up and kill them. You see what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, hey, they not deploying intersectionality. They're literally trying to imply that black people can be racist to white people. They cannot. You cannot. See what I'm saying? Hey, listen, there's a viral TikTok video. There's a viral TikTok video right now. One of my TikTok friends make a video and say, black people can't be racist. Nah, basically like, no. The white dude is like, yeah, that's not true. Here is an instance of 4 black people calling this white person racial slurs, whatever white racial slurs is, and killing this person. That's racism. It's like, yeah. Or we can say that's human violence and recognizing that the ism part, to me, denotes the system. So to me, it's like people be lost in the sauce of the interpersonal way. And to me, that's why we can't never get to the structural claims about abolition. The first question is about abolition. It's hard to answer a question about abolition because many people are only thinking about power, domination, oppression through the interpersonal. Intersectionality is a framework about systems of power. You see what I'm saying? There is no system of power that black people have for being black. You feel me? And I think that's how there's a lot of nuance in what I just said, and I hope it gave clarity and not more confusion. And I'm willing to explain more if it caused any confusion. But that's why I think it's important to recognize, hey, listen, that white person is not deploying intersectionality. If anything, they're giving you a racial gaslighting and trying to make it where, hey, but black people are racist too. It's like, oh, let's talk about the history of black people being racist. What are some of the impacts of black folks being racist? And then we go, let's have a conversation. Okay, even you believe what Dave Chappelle say, hey, everybody's racist. Okay, let's go there. Going back to the example. We can understand the distinctions in severity of first-degree murder, second-degree murder. We can understand the distinctions in manslaughter. Go to slavery. We can understand the distinction between in-debt slavery, chattel slavery, prisoners of war. You see what I'm saying? We also can recognize the distinctions in humans on an interpersonal level being able to deploy their interpersonal feelings in a system, being able to mobilize you being whatever you is. Or a different way to end this rant. My grandfather always said, hey, Lil George, everybody can be assholes. And opinions usually like assholes. Everybody got one that usually stink. For me, the distinction is what happens when individuals have the power for a system or an institution to enforce them being an asshole or enforce them being violent or enforce them. And to be clear, violence is always wrong. See what I'm saying? And I'm saying resistance to violence. To me, I don't see it as violence. I say there's resistance to violence. But to be clear, killing black people, wrong. Killing Asian people, wrong. But recognizing still in this conversation that we having about the very specific and nuances, let's not act like let's not have this. Let's not kill the energy of nuances when we start talking about people of color, the intro violence that happened amongst people of color. Because I think that I'm going to win the point, the argument, conversation about how anti-blackness works and how anti-blackness is something that people of color are in solidarity for. I can recognize how the myth of the model minority is something that is pervasive in society, but I'm also going to make a structural analysis and saying that's not structural.
The model minority myth, and that was made by the New York Times. The New York Times did that. There was an op-ed in the New York Times. Big bad liberal New York Times wrote that garbage article in their series of just garbage op-eds.
So
that's
why I said the myth of, because we know that a lot of different ways that I would say that all of us in society are indoctrinated to view people of the Asian diaspora as being model minorities or as being super in math or super in science. We understand that causes a lot of trauma and stress for different people of the Asian diaspora that feel like they're not meeting that standard, and or how they are able to get plucked and appropriated for being, it's called drain brain, what I learned, you feel me, for skilled labor, and how we are able to justify going to East Asian countries and stealing their skilled labor out of the idea of this model minority bullshit. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, hey, the reason why I said myth of model minorities, because I'm recognizing that, hey, it's not good. Shout out to my Asian brothers, sisters, and gender non-conforming people. But in this conversation about anti-blackness, it's 1 and 2 for the non-white, non-black people that's watching this live. For the non-white, non-black people that want to think about, hey, what is my position and what should I do in terms of Black History Month, and what should I do in the writ large in terms of liberation of black people? There is a lot of literature, a lot of conversations, a lot of content about the ways in which POC, people of color, how it gets reduced down or negotiates anti-blackness, and thinking about how the paradigm of light over dark, white over black is one that operates outside of white culture and black culture. You feel me? Whether I'm talking about indigenous culture, Latino culture, Asian culture, there's a structural sentiment of anti-blackness.
Yeah, we've exported that,
what I'm saying?
thinking across the world. Yeah.
It exported it, but also in different instances, see how, I'll leave it there, really exported, because I ain't got other days, really exported it. It's really, I'll leave it there. Yeah. Exported it and made it where it became incentives, political, social, economic incentives to buy into these notions of, you feel me, exported Western anti-blackness.
Yeah. So, there's this other one. There's this other thing that I wanted to, there's something sensitive to where, like, you have people that will, I've seen one of your posts where you talk about, these white supremacist sympathizers. It's like a, person of color, and it's like a, the Clandis Owens type of people.
Clandis
Owens. So this is a problem. So, like, people will come at me and go, well, why is this person's voice not important? Why shouldn't we consider their voice? If you're about uplifting Black voices, uplifting, people of color, all this stuff, why not this person? And, they'll point to like a Clandis Owens type of figure. And it's, of course, I can't, come at them the same way that you can. you know, like there's
Agree.
lots of jokes you can absolutely make. I can't. That's off limits.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like I can't, you know, so like what do you say in that? You know, I know what you can say. You know, I've seen your hashtags when dealing with people like that. You know, if you're a white person, you're being like, all right, you don't have to listen to this person. They're what I've said is, you know, they're upholding white supremacy. They're a white supremacist sympathizer. I don't, and then, well, there are things, well, just because they disagree with you, just because they have a different point of view, you know, and it's like,
see, I think that's right now. You know what I'm saying? I think shout out to you, Walter. You done put me in my professor mode a little bit, man.
all right, here you go.
Listen, a lot of folks don't know the distinction between opinions and facts. And if you say somebody is aligned to white supremacy, that is a falsifiable claim, which means that it cannot be seen as an opinion. To me, an opinion is saying, hey, I like Nike better than Reebok. To me, an opinion that says that, hey, seafood is better than American food. Or, you know what I'm saying? Seafood is better than barbecue. Those are opinions. Those are subjective claims that we can go back and forth that cannot really be falsified. If I make the claim that says, hey, this is not just a question of disagreements. I disagree with people all the time. For me, it's like, hey, I'm a debate coach. I'm a former debate coach, a former debater, a former debate coach champion. I made a living out of disagreeing. That's not really getting at. See what I'm saying? This disagreement is centered around the denial of somebody else's humanity. So shouldn't you be for all black voices because they're black? So you think I should be for black voices that's not for black people? Or I should be for black voices that are for white supremacy? Does that make sense? Hey, you should listen to all voices and not disagree with them just because of their gender. So I should listen to the man that says that he should be able to dominate women. Oh, you don't want to listen to that man because he disagrees. No, I don't want to listen to him because his opinion or his unethical statement causes violence. That's not an opinion. That's actually what happens. So go back to Candace Owens, whatever you want to call her, right? It's not just a mere disagreement. Feel me? It's not just like, oh, she's Republican, I'm Democrat, well, I disagree with her. That's not that. As a matter of fact, that's a cop-out to me in this instance. You feel me?
Yeah.
Go deeper and see, hey, my question would be, hey, why do you think that other black people disagree? Like, why do you think so many black people disagree with her? They gonna say, because I'm a debate coach, so I've already thought about this. I know it's called argumentation development, and being able to get from the first level of the argument to the second level argument or the third level argument. We already passed the two first stages. They ask, you feel me? Do you disagree with this person? Blah, 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 blah. You say because they're aligned with this. Another way to be able to do this, or the next thing could be, is like, so have you ever asked yourself the question, why do most black people disagree with Candace Owens? They gonna say, well, because she says stuff they disagree with. The next question is a question about it's gonna be able to expose their racism. So you think that black people don't have disagreements amongst each other? So every time black people disagree with each other, they just ostracize each other and eliminate. Like, that's what you're saying? If you say that, you're racist, just off the bat. Like, if you don't think black people already have disagreements that we argue about within the community that's not as abrasive or the level of Candace Owens, then you're racist. You bought into black pathology, you bought into racial pathology, and you believe black on black crime, and you believe that black people just hate each other for any reason. Nah.
Black on black crime. I fucking hate that. It's like, I'm like, dude, when white people do shit, we just call it crime. Like, literally anyone else in the entire world could do anything to anyone, and it's just like crime.
Hey,
like this one subset of people, like just for black people, we're like, yo, like that's just black on black crime, right? I fucking hate that too. Yeah.
Hey man, I got one last rant because you just said that. I got one last rant before I get, you know what I'm saying, get off. I gotta, you know what I'm saying, get some shit about the 3 o'clock. But listen, when I'm sitting in history class, different, right? When black on black crime is deployed, it's usually deployed in a way that says black people can't get mad at anybody doing something to them because they're doing it to each other. That is the sentiment that is understood by all of us. When black on black crime is deployed, that concept, the idea is saying that, hey man, if black people beat up and kill black people, then I should be able to beat up and kill black people too.
Yeah.
When I was growing up and I'm sitting in history class, I never heard the idea that says, you know what? Those colonists might be tarring and feathering us. Those colonists might be taxing us with representation, but we can't do anything about that because, hey, colonists are killing colonists too. We shouldn't be able to do anything about what King George and Red. We shouldn't worry about that because we're doing it to each other. That's never said in history class. The Sons of Liberty ain't being like, man, we can't demand our liberty from King George and the British if we're not giving liberty to each other. We ain't saying that. You see, it never happens. You see what I'm saying? It's never said like, hey, Americans are killing each other in schools. Americans are killing each other in movie theaters. How can we be mad about Al-Qaeda? How can we be mad about jihad, which is Islamophobic, by the way, but I say that from the video. That's never said. The concept of black on black crime is situated in pathology. This is the last way how I would end this. When me and you talked about, you know what I'm saying, on the phone and talking about before this, right? You mentioned the video that I made about Tyreek Nichols and how when white officers kill black people, they're officers first.
Yeah.
What's become clear to everybody with this Tyreek Nichols case is that because it is, well, I ain't saying Tyreek Nichols case because he ain't on trial. These officers on trial. When it comes to the black five, the black five police officers that did this Tyreek Nichols, they're seen as being black first. They're not seen as being cops first. They're seen as being black first. We don't see Blue Lives Matter. We don't see All Lives, you feel me, matter. We don't see those organizations talking about the innocence and or justifying the violence that they did. Two-edged sword. On one instance, yeah, this is good that y'all finally able to see how this police violence operates. On the other end, it's like, damn, but how y'all so quick to view this? What makes it weird is on the concept of black on black crime, the sixth officer in the Tyreek Nichols death, we just seeing him he ain't even getting charged yet. He just got put on, you know what I'm saying, let off duty. So when we think about the black on black crime, we recognizing what's pervasive on it, what's illustrated. When we try to center black people as uniquely killing black people or uniquely hurting black people, it ignores and glosses over other violences or other instances of anti-black violence. In this instance, we centered this 5 black cops killing this black man, which allowed for us to mask and or ignore the ways in which
dismiss it. You can dismiss it.
Not only systemic thing, but how this white man was also involved. Hey man, if black people kill black people, I should be able to do them too.
Yeah.
In conclusion, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it was a genius move, like by the people in charge. They looked at it and they're like, all right, we have to charge them, but let's not put the white person in there. Let's just have it be a bunch of black people. And it throws you off. Yeah. Honestly, I saw everyone posting and I was like, who are these 5 black cops? It took like, I'm scrolling. I'm like, oh, it didn't register. I mean, I'm usually, obviously and I was just like, oh, like I had to read about it. I was like, oh, that's what it is. It didn't even, and I'm like, that scares me because I'm like, if that went over my head, think about everyone else. And I was like, and I thought this is intentional. Like that's a master stroke. That's a master chess move on their part, not including the white face.
Yeah.
Just so people give white people an excuse to just dismiss it and be like, well, that's just
optics, man. Racial optics. Racial optics is something another concept I learned about in college. And we see that media and news is able to play with racial optics in a way that's able to already get us thinking about innocence and guilt in particular ways, especially on the lines of race, class, gender, ability, sexuality. This conversation is about race. So we can see how representation, how faces, how word choice is used to be able to create a narrative for everybody to buy into. Because now it's like, where's Black Lives Matter? Black Lives Matter is being so innocent, being so quiet, they ain't got nothing to say when it's black officers. It's like, you being wild right now. Being wild right now.
They're doing the whataboutism. Yeah, they're doing this like the what about, and they'll be like, well, what about like this child that was killed, 6 months ago? How come you didn't, get crazy about that?
In order for Black lives to matter, it has to matter to black people first. And you saying that about law enforcement. Imagine that. Think about that. In order for Black lives to matter, it has to matter about black people first. That's what I'm saying now. Y'all kill each other. You're talking about law enforcement. So you believe a carefree black man that works in a factory that's minding his business has the same power of an authority that's taking the oath, that's getting paid by tax dollars, that has diplomatic, or that's a diplomatic immunity, that has qualified immunity, ain't the same thing. Ain't the same thing. That's literally like being like, hey, this middle school kid punched this woman. That's bad. And this OG 30-year gangster punched this woman. That's not the same thing, dog.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just like another way to like dismiss it. I mean, so yeah, I'm listening. It's like these are like, I need narratives, little counter narratives from you on, on these things, for when, I need to constantly download talking points of just like, how do you deal with this, stupid narrative? So thank you.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, man. Tell the consciously, you feel me, on all social media platforms. Education is elevation, research over me search. Shout out to our professional shit talkers. This hoodie available on the website. Hey, man, and stay sucker free in the land of lollipops. You know what I'm saying? Don't never get lost in the sauce. And listen, the same energy you try to keep in this month, hopefully it can go to other months. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shout out to all the white people out there.
Yay, white people! Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna end this broadcast. Yeah, there's a recording of this. It's on my YouTube channel, and it's on Consciously's YouTube channel as well.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I think I'm gonna take this down, edit it real nice and smooth, and then upload this mug. Definitely.
There you go.
Definitely.
So hit leave studio so we get to talk after.
Yeah.
All right, cheers, everyone.
All right. Damn, Walter. Hit